This is the story of Bernie Madoff.
The Bernie Madoff.
For Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff is in jail.
New York City, early 2000s. A place where money moves fast and trust moves even faster. Inside the world of Wall Street, billions of dollars were being managed quietly by a man very few people questioned. A respected financial expert, trusted by celebrities, investors, and institutions. Everything looked perfect, until one day, it didn't.
Massive cocaine use and wild parties featuring topless dancers apparently were rampant in Bernie Madoff's office.
The environment. In finance, confidence is everything. Investors don't just buy strategies, they buy certainty. They look for stability, predictability, and most importantly, consistency. Because in a world of constant ups and downs, the idea of steady growth is powerful. And that's exactly what Madoff seemed to offer. The reputation. He wasn't an outsider trying to prove himself. He was already at the top. A former chairman of NASDAQ, one of the most influential financial institutions in the world. He had experience, connections, credibility, something safe. The offer. His approach sounded simple. No extreme risks, no unpredictable swings, just steady, reliable returns. The strategy. Over time, money began to flow in. At first, quietly, then at a scale few could imagine. Individuals, businesses, charitable organizations, all placing their trust in the same system. Regular statements were sent out, showing consistent profits, clean records, professional presentation. Everything looked exactly how it should. There were no obvious warning signs, no sudden red flags, just results. The illusion. But behind the scenes, something wasn't right. The profits being reported weren't coming from real market activity. There were no complex trades generating those returns. Instead, the system depended on incoming money, new investments, used to support earlier ones. As long as people continued to believe and continued to invest, the structure held together. From the outside, it looked stable, but in reality, it depended entirely on trust. The growth, and that trust kept growing. Year after year, confidence increased. More investors joined, more funds were added. Billions of dollars were now under management. At that level, people don't expect problems. They assume everything has already been checked, verified. But sometimes, the larger something becomes, the less it gets questioned. The reveal. That's when the reality surfaced. There was no underlying structure, no actual profits being generated. The numbers, the growth, the consistency, none of it existed in the way people believed. What appeared to be a stable investment system was built entirely on perception. And once that perception broke, everything collapsed. The aftermath. The impact was immediate and widespread. Billions of dollars were lost. Individuals lost savings. Organizations lost funding. The effects reached across countries and industries. In 2009, Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison. But even that couldn't undo the damage, because what was lost was more than money. It was trust. Turning point, ending everything held together. For years. No sudden failures, no visible cracks. Just numbers that kept working, until they didn't. It started quietly. A few investors, asking for their money back. Nothing unusual, at first. But this time was different. The world was changing. Markets were falling. Confidence was breaking. And fear was spreading faster than trust ever did. More requests came in. Larger amounts, closer together. Not weeks apart, days, then hours. And suddenly, the system that looked so stable began to feel pressure. Because it was never built for this moment. There were no real returns waiting in the background. No hidden reserves, no safety net, just a structure dependent on belief. And belief was beginning to fade. For the first time, the flow reversed. Money wasn't coming in anymore. It was trying to leave, all at once. And that's when it became clear there was nothing to return. No complex system had failed. No advanced strategy had collapsed. There was simply nothing there. What people trusted, what they believed was growing, had only ever existed on paper. And once that illusion broke, it didn't slow down. It didn't stabilize. It didn't recover. It disappeared. Because systems built on reality can survive pressure. They bend, they adjust. But systems built on perception only need one moment of doubt. And sometimes, that moment doesn't come from outside. It comes from the people who believed in it the most. And when that happens, everything changes. Because in the end, it wasn't the market that exposed the truth. It wasn't technology. It wasn't even investigation. It was a simple shift from trust to doubt. And sometimes, that's all it takes to turn something that looks real into something that never was.